Welcome, everybody, to the July meeting of the Tahoe Forest Board of Directors. Open session. Council, if you would read us out of closed session.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair McGarry. The board considered 5 items in closed session. I will refer to the agenda regarding my report out. Items 5.1 and 5.2, those reports were received and approved on a 5-0 vote. Item 5.3, the board provided direction and did reject the claim of Mr. Baker against Tahoe Forest Hospital District that alleged wrongful termination. Item 5.4 and 5.5, the minutes and medical staff credentialing, those items were both approved on a 5-0 vote. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Item 9, any deletions or corrections to the posted agenda? No? Let's forget. Do we get audience on this one as well?
No need for audience input on the...
But that is the next item. Do we have any input from the audience? Public comments? Yes, we do. Fantastic. So just a reminder, opportunity for public to comment on things that are not on the agenda. Time is limited to 3 minutes, and we can't take action on it, but we always welcome the comments. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman McGarry, board, staff. My name is Scott Wilson. I'm the president of the board of directors over at the TTSA, the Tahoe Truckee Sanitation Agency. And the reason I'm here this evening is that I'm honored to be running for the alternate position for the upcoming LAFCO. Chairman McGarry, board, the upcoming LAFCO position, the Local Agency Formation Commission. It's critical that Eastern Placer County has representation on these things. An example would be that right now there's a lot of energy being put forward towards incorporating North Lake Tahoe. It has to go through LAFCO to make sure that it's feasible financially and that public services would not be detrimental. It wouldn't be detrimental to those services. I know that time is short here. I just want to say that I have a long-standing respect for this hospital. I was born here 68 years ago, so I don't know how many people can say that, but and I'm also really honored to be married to Dr. Joy Koch, but it is critical that we have the representation in Eastern Placer County, and I'm honored to be running for that. So I would hope that you might support me for that. Thank you.
Wonderful.
And we have a voting on that later.
We do have a vote later.
Can I say he's a lucky man?
You can't, normally we can't comment, but in this case, I think it's warranted. Yes. Wonderful. Any other audience input? No? Okay. Input from employee associations. Hearing none, seeing none. Item 12, a new agenda item, and I believe going to be a recurring monthly. Is that what we're proposing? A quick CEO update to kick us off?
And this is just a very quick update. Thank you, Chair Anna Roth, President and CEO of your health system, the hospital district. And I'm actually joined by with Dr. Evans because I think there's a couple places we might pause, but this is a new item on the agenda, and it's really It is really to pull forward a few highlights. It's 6 slides, so just a few highlights of both the synthesized administrative report that you will find in a later item in the consent, but also if you go into that report, there are hyperlinks into very specific detailed reports that each chief wrote. So this is really to kind of pull up a few things we want the board and the public just to be aware of. So you will find like the full reports on page 60 in this packet. Just very quickly, am I in control of the slides, Sarah, or are you? Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I just wanted to, just quickly remind everyone, these are basically the key things that we're working on right now. really strengthening care, improving access, and you've heard a lot about optimizing operations across the region. The other piece is that we're really tracking all the progress in those three buckets with a measurement plan that kind of goes across what we're calling the 5 strategic priorities, or what often are called the peaks. And so those are there. I just wanted to preview to say, this is happening, we're working on these areas, and alert both the board and the public that we will be kind of building on this, what we're calling, at this point, we're branding it or calling it the True North Initiative. And we'll be coming back to the board, as well as the public, with key sort of points, key pieces of time in that process where we really want to get engagement. So I just want to make sure people are ready for that. Next, I'm in control of the slides. So, and then I want to pull some of the key highlights out, again, that we have had a lot of growth. I do want to highlight out the growth in the operating room. I mean, 70% operating room utilization is hustling. But this is sort of the hustle slide. The outpatient visit growth.
I actually want to pause on that one, because
Okay.
that's a noticeable improvement from where we were a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
right? I mean, I seem to remember a number more that started with 30-something%, is that?
I don't think it was quite that low, Michael, but it's definitely gone up quite a bit steadily for the last couple of years. And a lot of that is due to the perioperative governance committee and working together with the surgeons, the anesthesiologists, the nursing staff, and others to really make sure that we're using the ORs as efficiently as we possibly can, and working on block times with the docs to make sure that their block times are either being used or they're being released. And it's been a great partnership with the medical staff, so that's been very successful.
Congrats on that, that's great.
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Evans. I mean, that is, and that is in and of itself, that's a very quick turnaround of those rooms. I also just wanted to highlight, I know we talked about this in budget, and I know this gets talked about, but I really want the community to be able to kind of do the math and follow along. That you see from 2018 to 2025, we've gone from 91,000 visits in the outpatient to 161,000. And if you don't have your calculator, that's a 66% growth in a very short time period. And even in a time when we, when we sort of slowed down the clinics during sort of a 3-year period. So that is, again, I think just represents amazing work that has been happening alongside and in addition to all of the work that the optimizing the what we're calling management systems, which I think I'm going to give you a spoiler alert, we'll probably rename that because it's not about management, it's actually about the staff. So we'll come back with you on that, but that's all that improvement science that's going on, and it's really about access. And even though we know we still have to work on access, that is a creation of a lot of access. And so I just want to do a pause and highlight out acknowledge the staff and all the work that they've done and the board for pushing, because even with a 66% growth, we know access is still a major problem. And we really, we're ready to continue to step forward. We talked a lot about, and you heard recently from our CIIO about some of the work around cybersecurity. I just want to I just want to say what this means down on a daily basis. Over 1 million email threats were blocked in June alone. That's a lot. And that's a lot more than it used to be. And so I think, again, this is just the importance of something that sort of maybe people don't see that's going on, but we really want to make sure the community knows that we're working hard on behalf of all of them to make sure that their information is safe and also that the system is protected. I do want to give you a little preview of what's coming, and this is one of the reasons why I've asked Dr. Evans to join us. We are going to be launching in this fall a vaginal birth after C-section or cesarean, often called VBAC, and even if you look in your report, you'll find a new term called TOLAC, but I'll let Dr. Evans talk about that. And then we'll move on to a couple other highlights, and then I want to just give you, I'll summarize and conclude rapidly because I know we're behind, so. Yeah.
So yeah, TOLAC is another fun acronym that I won't test you guys on. It's Trial of Labor After Cesarean Section. So the thinking around how to deal with laboring women who have had a cesarean section in the past has evolved somewhat in the last, I'd say, 7-8 years. And with the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecology, the feeling is that it's generally safer to do a trial of labor and try to get a vaginal delivery even if a patient has had a cesarean section in the past. There's a lot of caveats there, and there's sort of a risk assessment that needs to be done for these individuals. But it is generally considered safer if we can offer TOLAC, trial of labor, in these situations here at Tahoe Forest without simply just transferring them to a different facility. But in order to do it safely, we just have to make sure that we are prepared for the possibility of complications, which are generally rare. If you actually select your patients carefully, complications from that are generally rare, and again, safer for those women to do vaginal delivery. So we're setting up, and we have some logistical loose ends to tidy up at this point before we're ready to go live. But I think this will be a great thing to be able to offer to women in our community to avoid unnecessarily transferring them to other places, having them travel, and we can do that safely here. So we're excited about it. A lot of work went into that, a lot of collaboration with the nursing leadership on OB, certainly our OBGYN doctors, pediatricians, anesthesiologists, and others. So really proud of the team on that.
And Jan is not here, our CNO, but I did actually personally check in with her, and we are, just about nursing staffing. I know that that's often a question people have, and we do have the staffing levels to support this in their assessment. So it's a really great, I think, it's a really great progress, and I think, again, I'm very grateful to the collaboration that's gone on. There's been a lot of, this isn't just coming up, and actually we're giving you a couple months' notice, but there's been months and months, maybe even years of thinking about this. So it's exciting to be at this moment. I want to pause and see if anybody had any, yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to both of you because I did raise the issue. And the question is very reassuring to hear, all of the dialogue that's gone on. And there was a point in time when this was considered, very high risk and many places weren't doing it. So it sounds like everything that you needed to talk through has been done. I'm just a little bit curious still where Beta stands on VBACs.
Beta, our insurance carrier, is very supportive of moving in this direction. They agree that it's a safer approach for patients to be able to offer TOLAC here at Tahoe Forest. The risk that we worry about is rupture, uterine rupture in the case of labor. And the risk is less than 1% if you select properly, but it's still a risk, and so you need to be prepared for it, and that's where our efforts are being made. But the reality is, doing labor here at all, we need to be prepared for many different complications, including this one. So we have to always have those pieces in place.
Thank you.
Again, just sort of our next highlight is really work around expanding youth vaping, suicide prevention, and nutrition programs. And I will say, again, these aren't meant to be this is just, I'm giving you highlights. There's an expanded discussion within the reports on this. But I also will say that we will be coming back in the next couple of months. September is Suicide Awareness Month, and so we'll be back talking about that. We know that we have one of the higher suicide rates for counties in the state of California, at least Nevada County does. And so actually our medical staff and behavioral health team and frankly our community health staff are all really thinking about this. And I think, again, these are implementation efforts that are really addressing sort of what some of the core root causes are. And then finally, keep your eye out. We launched the community commitment webpage this last month. In fact, even in this last couple of weeks, and you're going to start seeing us build out that page. So there's going to be more and more on that. I'm sorry I don't have the URL on that, but it is actually in the report. And if you land on our actual Tahoe Forest homepage, it'll take you there. It's quite well advertised. I just wanted to say a couple of key highlights. I think, again, this is really, I want the staff to get sort of the recognition and U.S. News and U.S. sorry, let's just make sure I say it right. U.S. News and World Report, we did get 3 sort of top honors, top 1% in OB and obstetrics, top 3% in emergency care. I can personally vouch for the great emergency care, as I've been a recent recipient, and top 100 in the patient experience. And also, I think we were, while we were all convening, we heard this, we also have been recognized by the the American Heart Association Get With the Guidelines for Rural Stroke Gold Award, and you just actually heard that. And so that is, again, I think something that is an important, I mean, these are, it's great to get top honors, but when you think about OB, emergency care, stroke, these are important and vital services, particularly in a region where we're somewhat isolated. We are the provider. So these are more than just accolades. These are critical indicators that we're here serving the community and they can count on us. The next slide, again, oh wait, I just want to pause here for a second and say, and this is, again, this is all due to our staff. They just do an incredible job. They're incredible. My last couple of slides, I just wanted to, there's been a lot of talk since we since we met last time, the One Big Beautiful Bill was in fact passed. I wanted to just talk a little bit about, because a lot of the general consensus is some of this stuff is happening later and there's going to be a lot of policy action between now and then. But I did want to point out there are some things happening right away. Essentially the SDP programs, which is really those programs that are for those people with developmental disabilities, those are being capped, and that's actually being retroactively capped to May of 2025, those rates. There's something called the disproportionate share of costs, hospital dollars. Those are dollars that are allocated to, in the purest form, in a very oversimplified way, to facilities who have a disproportionately high Medicaid population. And there has been looming cuts to that and paybacks to that. There's been waivers that they've gotten for years. I mean, for at least a decade. Since I started as a CEO, the DISH cuts were always on the agenda. They always got kicked. Well, those cuts are set to actually commence in October of 2025. Though we don't qualify for DISH, so it won't be affecting us. It will affect large Medicaid providers, which we actually have within sort of at least drive over a summit. So it is it may have an indirect impact on us, and it certainly will have an impact on some of our critical partners. And then finally, the Rural Health Transformation Application. This is a carve out of $50 billion for 1,800 rural hospitals that's time bound for 5 years, which is lower than 1/3 of the Medicaid cuts. So it's really, it is some money, but we don't know what the rules are going to be around it, how we're going to compete for those. But the applications are due December 31st of 2025. So I just though we hear a lot about sort of the FMAP and the rural health transformation and some of the waiver things and the reductions on the rolls of Medicaid are a couple of years out, there are in fact big things happening right now. And so this is actually a really nice summary timeline. It's actually, we got it from District Hospital Leadership Forum, and it's cited there. But just wanted to make sure people can kind of follow along and make sense of all of this that we're hearing. And again, most of this in 2025 doesn't hit Tahoe Forest directly, though we will be tracking and want to know exactly how you can qualify for those rural health transformation dollars. And so we'll be back when there's any line of sight into that. I already lost my little thing. I lost my clicker. Can you move it forward, sir? Oh, it's in my lap, sorry. Sorry. So, just in summary, again, and you can find a lot of detail in our report about this, but there's a lot of there's a lot of growth and there's a lot of change and there's a lot of coordination going on. I think, again, you heard from Dr. Evans just one example of the collaboration going on across the departments. That's happening across your system. And I think we're continuing to work on strengthening our board support, community trust. We really know that staff dedication and really connecting with our community and working with our board is really how to build a stronger, more resilient health system. I do want to say to the community, and I said this recently, I was at Good Morning Truckee. I know it feels like a very dark time or very fraught time. A couple of things I would say is that I've never been a CEO when it hasn't been a fraught time. I started in 2009, 2008, 2009, and from the moment I started, we were being reformed. And, so we're continuing to be challenged. And I do think that you have a leadership team and a staff that are up to the challenge. And it is also when we're in times of great change, it means there's great opportunity. So I do think that though we really do wish that some of the policy decisions would be different, and it does, but it also does push us to think very hard what our role will be going forward. So I think, again, those true north discussions, and as we work on that, we really hope that the board and the community will join us in that, and we're going to create space for that to happen and be very intentional. And that's the summary of kind of what's gone on in this last month, and thanks so much for giving me just a few minutes to talk about it. Happy to answer any questions or pass it back to the chair.
Thank you for a wonderful summary. Comments, questions? From the audience? Comments, questions? Okay. Thank you, Anna. Item 13. MAC consent agenda.
Good evening. We have only one item on our consent agenda this evening, and it actually relates to the collaboration and cooperation of our providers. It's the surgical case scheduling policy. And there were a few punctuation changes, and they replaced the word surgery scheduler with surgery scheduling coordinator, and they replaced the word physician with the word surgeon. But the meat of the change was the addition under policy B, where elective cases that will be going past 5:30 p.m. will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis with OR leadership rather than simply scheduled. And this is to make sure that all the right people can be in the right place at the right time without having any unexpected challenges. And so it's a small change that should make the OR work even more smoothly than they currently do. And that's the only change, that's the only consent item tonight.
Short and sweet.
Yes.
Comments, questions?
I like the way we're doing it now, Dr. Cope, when you just have the policy and just what the changes are. It makes it so much simpler for us to understand what's going on rather than reading through the whole thing. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Dorothy. And actually, thank you to all the groups who create the policies, because they're the ones that are doing that work for us. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I would like to move approval of the MEC consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Dr. Koch. Approved 5-0. Okay, consent calendar. These are sort of routine, non-controversial items that get expected to, motion to approve in bulk unless there is any desire to pull an item from the consent calendar. Any items to pull? Then go to the public. Any items to pull? Nope. Okay. Looking for a motion to approve consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Approved unanimously. Item 15. This is just an item for board discussion, so no action being taken. An update on the peak nursing program.
All right. Oh, can I get the clicker too?
Was it best to be there or here? Is that, I'm just from the camera, I'm wondering, I'm sure, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Set my timer. Okay, good evening, board members and community and colleagues. This is an update on the PEAK program, the Clinical and Career Ladder for Tahoe Forest Health System. My name is Damara Stone. I'm the manager of the education department. I'm also a nurse, and I've been with Tahoe Forest for 24 years. So I'm going to do a very brief just refresher on what the PEAK program is, because I know we have a new board member and our new CEO who hasn't heard my presentation before. So just a quick refresher, and then I have 4 PEAK participants that are going to share a short synopsis of their major projects that they've been working on, which are really, really awesome. So PEAK stands for Professional Excellence Advancement and Kudos, and I would like to just make sure it's clear that I came up with the name before the peaks, just so y'all know.
You're obviously inspired. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I designed this, we launched in October of 2022, and you can see what the objectives of the program are here. In my 24 years or 22 years at that point working at Tahoe Forest, we did not have a clinical ladder, which is a very popular thing to have in hospitals for professional advancement, professional development. So as part of my master's capstone, I was getting my master's in nursing leadership and organizational development. This was my capstone project, and then I built it towards Tahoe Forest. So we have 3 peaks in the PEAK program. They are here. They correspond with Patricia Benner's novice to expert model. So starting with the competent nurse, because we don't hire novice nurses here at this point. So Marta's PEAK is our competent nurse. You have to achieve 25 to 30 points, and then you earn a $2,500 bonus. The second PEAK is Mount Judah. That corresponds with the proficient nurse. It's a $4,000 bonus. And then we have our summit of Mount Rose, which we do have our very first Mount Rose summit person right here who's going to present. That corresponds with the expert nurse and a $6,000 bonus. So the nurses, actually now it has expanded to therapy services and lab, and in the fall of 2025, in October, we're going to launch it for the APPs, for the nurse practitioners and the physician assistants, as well as the CNAs, MAs, PCTs. So all of the staff that participate, they have to gain points in these 4 different categories. The things that you see listed are actual things that people have done in these categories over the past 6 months. So caring and compassion is the first category. Second category is competency. Third category is community family. And the fourth category is quality evidence-based practice. So they have to get a minimum number of points in each of those 4 categories, and then they have to have some extra as well. So a lot of them will choose, one category that speaks to them and a project that really speaks to them, and that's where they will get the majority of their points. So with the participating departments, we have nursing represented in almost every department in the health system. Some of these departments have just 1 or 2 nurses in the program, and some of them have, 10 or more, so depending on the department. And at the very bottom, you can see we've expanded it now to therapy services, so PT, OT, and speech therapy. Lab is also participating. The APPs are coming in October of 2025, as well as CNAs, MAs, and PCTs. And here's a list of, just in the last 6 months, some of the highlights, some of the highlighted accomplishments of the PEAK participants. So we have a few of the presenters tonight. You can see some of their projects up here, but there's been some really incredible work done across the health system in all of the categories. Some of the things really speak to community involvement. Some of it really speaks to quality and evidence-based practice and process improvement. So it's really been really fun to see what people have done. This is our a snapshot of some of the summit team from the last group. So The peak participants can turn in a portfolio, their completed portfolio, in the months of April and October, so only those 2 months. And their portfolio is a professional representation of their work. Currently, we have 37 nurses in the Peak 1 program, 4 lab assistants, 17 therapy folks. Peak 2, we've got 22 nurses, 1 from lab and 2 physical therapists. And in Peak 3, we have 9 nurses working towards that summit. So I'll just leave this up for a moment so you guys can read. Again, as part of their professional portfolio that they turn in to be reviewed, they have to write a self-reflection piece. And the content of this piece is supposed to contain successes, challenges, resources they utilized, how they overcame their challenges, and then most importantly, how did participating in the PEAK program enhance their professional and personal development, as well as contribute to the mission, vision, values of the health system. So these are just some of the quotes. I love to pull these out. This is my favorite part of reviewing people's portfolio, because I just love to see, the impact that it's made on people. My goal really with designing the PEAK program was twofold. One was to recognize and reward the nurses and the staff that are already going above and beyond, the ones that are always joining committees, always doing projects, always volunteering for stuff, but not really receiving any of the accolades for that. And then number 2 is to encourage the people that are kind of on the fence. They're like, I would join that committee, but what's in it for me? Or, why should I? Or I don't quite have time, or I'm not motivated. So, and it's really been fun to watch those people get engaged and fired up about and reigniting their passion for nursing or therapy or, whatever department they're in. So this is a quote from one of those people that had not considered previously becoming, being a real joiner, didn't want to join committees, didn't want to do the things. And the PEAK program gave this person an opportunity to kind of step outside of their comfort zone and try something different and challenge themselves. And in that, reignited their passion for nursing care. So I'm really proud of the program. I'm really proud of all of these wonderful people that are doing incredible things. So I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to them. I'm going to start with Valerie Brust, who is one of our house supervisors, because she goes on shift at 7 o'clock. So, so come on up, Val.
Thank you, Tamara, for that. Hello, everyone. As she said, my name is Valerie Brust. I'm a house supervisor. I work full-time nights. All of us on night shift kind of feel alone and forgotten sometimes. I shouldn't say all the time, but some of the times. And when this whole system came around to participate in the PEAK program, I really felt called to it, because I've always been the type of person that wants to join things, but being on night shift, I'm like, I'm so tired. Do I really have time? This really helped me. One of my projects was to kind of be the advocate for night shift, and whenever day shift does, oh, hey, we're having an ice cream social, and we're like, oh, that's great, it's at 2 in the afternoon, I'm going to be sleeping. So I would be like, hey, reach out to whoever's doing it, can we have something for night shift? I'll walk around and hand it out, like I'm happy to do that. And night shift has expressed a lot, like how they feel seen and heard by management, and that they feel like they're more a part of the system. I think sometimes as nurses we feel like we can't make a change, it's all about management and policies, and we just do it because it's the policy. But I feel like with this program, it's really given us an opportunity to be like, here's the changes that I can make. And of course, we clear it with the manager or our director and talk to them about it. But we've always gotten great feedback of, yes, if you feel like there's something you can work towards, go ahead. And I feel like it gives us nurses ownership. And like, we belong to this system, we're going to make this system better. A couple of my projects that I worked on, I worked with Dr. Evans on the high fall risk. We have, like, in the morning huddle, we now, say how many high fall risk people we have, and we do audits every night, and we kind of raised awareness. And for 3 months there, we didn't have a single fall inpatient, which was super exciting. Another one of my projects was the Floating Safely project. As a house supervisor, I make sure we have enough staff for every department. And sometimes when we don't have enough staff for a certain department, I have to float people from med-surg or ICU to go over to OB. And they're very different. And each department has give me a little bit of pushback, like, hey, I'm not comfortable. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing here. So this Floating Safely project, I started with some surveys of what can we do, what kind of education do you feel like you need to make sure that you're competent in floating, because it is a job requirement that you do float if needed. So it's been an ongoing project for the last 3 years now. We are at the stage where we are putting together a little education for the med-surg nurses and the OB nurses, and we're just kind of working towards educating the people who are extra interested in floating, but also giving it to everyone so that when they do float, it's safe for the patients, it reduces medication errors, and it also kind of helps the interdisciplinary teams to start working together, and the PEAK project and the PEAK program has been amazing for me, and I really enjoy it, so I thank you guys and Damara for this opportunity.
Hello, everybody. Some of you I know, some of you are new. I haven't met Anna yet. My name is Lilith Anderson. I am a staff nurse in the OB department. I was hired at Tahoe First Hospital in 1991, and I worked as a technician with the dietitians in the dietary department while I was going to nursing school, and then I left for a bit, and then I've been in my current position as a staff nurse since 1999. So I'm in my 27th year. So long relationship with this facility that I love. I am so grateful to Damara for spearheading this program. It's been amazing. It's really helped to highlight the talent and the knowledge and the clinical expertise that we have in the nursing staff. Myself, I have been involved in multiple committees over the years, and when the PEAK program was presented to me, I thought, I think I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do this. And it aligned right at the same time that Tahoe Forest Hospital partnered with CMQCC, the California Maternal Quality Care Collaborative, and we started a cohort for a QI project. And it was driven by the nursing staff to identify where there were areas where we could show improvement. And so one of those areas was with what we perceive to be an increased rate of chorioamnionitis in our patients and higher rates of sepsis. So we kind of took a deep dive there and made that our project. It was a year-long project that was spearheaded from nursing staff at the bedside. We created a bundle and turned our choreo rates around. So we're very proud of that. Because of that success and my participation in that cohort and getting some experience with QI, I had an opportunity to submit an application to AWON, which is our professional organization for obstetrics, to participate in a research study. And so it was a very involved application process. It required an ROB or IRB, which leadership helped me with to file, and our application was accepted. And so then I was presented with this massive project that I thought, oh, this is going to be great. And then I got into it, and I'm like, whoa, am I over my head? I don't know about this. And I remember talking with Damara, and I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't know if I can do this. She's like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I did it. And I never would have jumped into something like that had it not been for the prior success and participation in the PEAK program. Here's the, I'm sure you guys have seen it all over the hospital, throughout the whole organization, the Post-Birth Warning Signs Project, but it's to identify maternal risk and decrease incidence of adverse outcomes for our patients. This is just a resource finder that I'd like you guys to pass around. There's the PowerPoint in there with the PDSA cycle, the driver diagram, and some statistics that I gathered. The project has been a huge success. And then I was invited by AWON, one of, I guess I should back up, only 32 sites throughout the country were selected to participate in this research study, which we were able to participate in. And then of that, 3 site coordinators, which I myself was one, were selected to go and present on a symposium panel at the annual convention. And so I just did that in June. It was wonderful, an amazing experience. I kind of felt a little out of place being a staff nurse surrounded by all directors and professionals. Most of the other people that participated in this program were doctorate prepared nurses, and so it was really exciting. And it all happened because of the PEAK program. So I hope you give Damara as much kudos and support as you can to keep this program going, because it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for the district. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my gosh.
Here we have one more.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Alberti. I'm a registered nurse. I'm one of the lead ambulatory nurses in surgery. I've been at Tahoe Forest for about almost 18 years. And in the second level of PEAK, we got asked we needed some volunteers. Damara asked, we need some volunteers for this program. We really need it at Tahoe Forest. And so Anna and I we didn't really work together. We work in different departments, but we kind of collaborated and created this program that we had our first pilot program. I'll let Anna introduce herself and then we'll talk about it.
Oh, Anna McGuire. I'm one of the care coordinator nurses. I'm your transitional care nurse. I follow up with high-risk readmission patients after hospital discharge. And what worked really well about Gabrielle and I working together is that we just, between the two of us, we knew most of the managers and departments, so we were able to coordinate together and reach out to all our departments. So we worked with Truckee High School and their counselors to bring on 9 high school students to shadow in multiple departments, licensed, non-licensed, entry level through physicians, to have a medical shadowing experience.
It's targeted for juniors and seniors that have ideas of potentially going into healthcare, and they don't necessarily know. These are some of them have parents in the health system. Some of them have no idea. They don't even know what basic machines are when they walk in the hospital or terminology. And so they're very excited to come in here. They're all recommended by their counselors. They're all good students, and it's an opportunity. This pilot program we created. We just finished it this spring. They gave high school students are required to have volunteer hours to graduate every year, and the upperclassmen have to have more hours. And so they volunteered about 38 hours, about 2 hours in each different job. So they spent 2 hours with endoscopy 2 times, and so they got to be with anesthesia. They got to be in the operating room. They got to be with PT inpatient. So they really got to see what kinds of jobs these people, the professionals really are doing, and so giving them insight to what they may want to do. And after kind of digging through some objectives in our program and research, there's a lot of research studies that show that kids that these programs that we hold in these communities, a lot of these kids will come back to this community and they will come to work here down the road. And I think it's not only a great opportunity for us as nurses in this PEAK program, but I think it's also really great for the community, and to see that Tahoe Forest is giving back to the community in this sense and really bringing in these kids. And we thought, well, maybe we have 4 kids this cohort. We had 9 kids, and that was with the help of Damara, with Tracy Cheney, who's our volunteer coordinator, who spent time with each kid to get, they have 6 hours of onboarding for HIPAA training and HealthStream, and to make sure that they understand how to act in a hospital and all the regulatory things. And so we are excited to expand our program to North Tahoe High School, hopefully this next year. And we've brought on a couple other PEAK nurses so we can get some help, because it's a lot of extra coordination, from scheduling to finding nurses to precept these students. And but they really all had a great time, and it was really a really great opportunity to see these students. They got to wear some of our old scrubs Trent had loaned them, and they got to be in their scrubs, and they had their hospital badge, and they're really, really proud, and it was really cool, and we really wanted to thank, Damara, and we really wanted to thank all the staff and the managers for being so welcoming to the students, and, as we get more advanced in the, as we go farther into the program, we'll streamline some things, and we have, things to learn and things to change, and we want to evolve the program, but we're hoping that this program can kind of stick around, and we see the value in the community. And, thank you.
Thank you.
So just a couple more slides. The K in PEAK program stands for kudos, and so I'm always trying to brainstorm more ways to celebrate all of these amazing people. So we do, shout outs in social media. I plan a PEAK picnic and hike every spring and fall. The bottom right picture, we did a PEAK showcase in here that was for all hospital employees to come. It was kind of like science fair style where you could walk around and look at everybody's projects and stuff. So any ideas that anybody has, more ways to celebrate them, please let me know. And the future for PEAK, again, in the fall, October, we're going to launch for those 2 departments. And I also formed a multidisciplinary PEAK committee in June of this year because I really wanted to get input from all the departments that are involved. I wanted more people to bounce ideas off of and share in some of the decision making. And so our next meeting is going to be in September. So we're going to meet quarterly to help guide the program forward. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
Yeah, my goodness. Every one of you just radiates as you're talking about what you do and how you're doing it. And I can't thank you enough for what a difference you're making. It's just tremendous. Congratulations, everyone.
And I've known most of you since you were babies here. And I'm so proud of you. The thing that I have to say is that, we've all sort of worked in our own silos. Having the PEAK program really has gotten us engaged with one another and knowing what one another is doing. So I think more than just increasing your knowledge, increasing the staff's knowledge, it's that you're becoming a real community of healthcare providers, and we're so grateful for that. So thank you again.
And for those of you who don't know, Damara does a lot more than what she's just told you about. She is largely responsible for the annual winter injury symposium that gets, 300 plus people to it?
Yeah, 300 to 400.
300 to 400, and then follows it up with these specific case studies on Zoom that are really helpful to our community that's involved in winter injury issues. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. And I forgot to mention, in the little packet that I gave you, the very first top flyer, that is another project that one of the PEAK nurses did that she couldn't be here tonight, but that was she secured a grant, a pretty large grant to provide all these different healing modalities for all staff. So all hospital employees are invited to attend. There's 4-hour workshops, there's ongoing series. I did the Qigong and the sound healing and breathwork one. And really that project was born out of her experience of burnout after COVID. And so she created this really beautiful program called Peace Within. So that's that top flyer. The second flyer that you have is Gab and Anna's project. And then the last thing is the PEAK application program. So thank you so much for your time and have a great night.
Thank you.
If I have one question, actually, a reflection and one question. New guy, I gotta add that. So.
Sorry.
I just want to reflect, first of all, thank you so much. Well, what I heard and what I reflect is obviously no falls in 3 months. This is not a exciting, sexy, TV topic, but so important to healthcare. So thank you. That's so lovely here. Floating safely and building interdisciplinary teams at times when we are in our silos, as mentioned, is just so amazing to hear. I mean, reducing chorioamnitis, sepsis, the post-birth warning signs, top 100% in obstetrics by U.S. World Report. Thank you. I mean, that's amazing. And then hearing how we're, bringing our students, it was funny. We all laughed at, when we said how proud they are at the sides, giving kids pride, giving our community pride and what they're doing. And, I want to echo our present CEO saying, you said earlier, the community counts on us. And you said it's led by incredible people and the people that work here. And so it was just great hearing about all the incredible people who work here and all the young, incredible people that we're recruiting to come back and work here. So the one question I have now is, I hear Tahoe 4, so anything in incline, or is that as well?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
this
I just wanted
includes
to make
incline as
sure.
well.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
I don't know if I can build on the comments made.
Thank you.
Other than the saying goes something along the lines of leadership is not a title. And the remarkable programs that we're seeing presented didn't come from some senior leadership title or someone that was entitled by their title. It's coming from everyone across all levels of the organization, which is a reflection of a truly remarkable organization that can empower that. It's been an absolute joy from seeing the first year this was presented sort of as a, we're going to try it kind of thing. If my quick math got close, a little over 90 participants, 92, 93 participants. It's a massive percentage of our overall staff that's participating. So kudos to you for not only establishing a remarkable program, but continuing to grow it. So
Thank you.
great stuff. Thank you. This is just an item for board discussion, so no action taken.
Except more applause.
Except more applause. Yeah. Okay, moving on to item 16. These are items for board action. 16.1, fiscal year 2025 service excellence report. I believe, is Alex here still? Yeah, there she is.
Me again.
Hello again.
Hello again. I am Alex Bazaire, if you were wondering how to pronounce my new last name. Clinical patient experience advisor, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to toot our horns a little bit and share our service excellence summary for the fiscal year. So this is a kind of crazy bar graph, but this represents our Press Ganey ranking. So what is Press Ganey? As Anna alluded to, we are in the top 100 of patient experience. So patient experience is measured by hospitals with patient satisfaction surveys. There's lots of vendors to use. We use Press Ganey. They have about 75% of the market share, so most hospitals are using Press Ganey. We're scored on a number of different domains. We're rate the hospital, recommend the hospital, communication with nurses, staff, doctors, the environment of the hospital, cleanliness, various things. So we are the green, and then our comparison groups are national is blue, and then our rural hospitals in yellow. So you can see that we're in the top amongst all categories. So HCAHPS is a CMS mandated survey. We are not required to participate in HCAHPS. HCAHPS stands for Hospital Consumer Assessment of Healthcare Providers and Systems. We are a small critical access hospital, but we decide to opt in because we want to be compared to our peers. So there's two global metrics for HCAHPS, and that's recommending the hospital and rate the hospital. So this is just showing, and I'll just draw your attention, we have a lot of silly graphs here, but the purple is where our ranking is. The mean score is on a scale of 0 to 100, but our ranking is where we're comparing ourselves to our peers. So you can see 99th percentile ranking, so we're in the top. We recently got a Flex grant that was awarded, and we utilized the funds to pilot a translation device that we are hoping our EVS staff is able to help bridge some communication and utilize this with our patients to help be able to communicate with them a little bit better. We have customized discharge folders for better instructions on discharge, so a way to help organize all their paperwork when they're leaving. This is the rate the hospital, and you can see once again that purple line, 99th percentile. The red dotted line is just our general goal of wanting to be in that 90th percentile ranking. So inpatient, so now we're moving on to our what are just the standard Press Ganey questions. So these are outside of those HCAPS mandated questions. So these are just those kind of optional standard Press Ganey questions that we're asking of our different service lines. So our goal at Tahoe Forest, as you all set forth actually, was 95. We want a mean score of 95. Inpatient, when I first heard that, I was a little worried because inpatient is a very difficult service line to get that high score. So you can see, it's a little difficult to see, but in calendar year 2024 Q3, that was a score of a 92.7. We've hovered right around there for a long time, and that was still the 98th, 98th percentile. The next quarter, we went up to a 95.1, and I didn't think that was actually possible. So we actually exceeded that 95 score, and then this last quarter, we got a 96. So for inpatient, that is very, very high, almost unheard of, and even Press Ganey was very impressed with us. So next is just our outpatient. This is our outpatient services. This is DI, our outpatient registration, lab services. So you can see we've got kind of a mixed bag here, but this is a group, this is a very interdepartmental group. We have a lot of different areas that all have to work together very seamlessly to help care for patients. And so this can be challenging to help coordinate, but you can see that this most recent quarter, we were at the 53rd percentile. So it's a work in progress. We're making the right moves. Ambulatory surgery, it doesn't look like there's numbers up there, but they're in the 99th percentile as well. They're pretty much always a high performer. They've worked on some things such as streamlining some of their discharge processes, some streamlining preoperative, good communication with nurses. They're always a really high performer. We split up our ED for this graph. We have Tahoe Forest ED and Incline Village ED. Both, again, very high performers. They're both working on pretty similar process improvement programs. Their telestroke program and a callback program to call back high-risk patients a day after their visit for follow-ups. So you can see that Tahoe Forest ED, once again, is hovering in that 99th percentile. And Incline Village ED, same, 99th percentile. Together, Press Ganey considers both units as one, so our ED just received yet another consecutive Guardian of Excellence Award, and that award is given to hospitals that maintain a full calendar year, or full 4 quarters of being in the 95th percentile or higher. Our MSC, so we've got a lot of different clinics, and they're all rolled up together. And you can see that purple trend line, once again, that's our ranking, going up very nicely and gradually in the right direction. So I know that Dr. Evans has spoken to the Access to Care and Vizient project. There's been a lot of work going on with the various clinics on how to improve patient experience, streamlining the workflows and just making it for a more seamless experience for patients, working together to care for them. This is a very competitive service line, and we actually compare ourselves to all national facilities, not just the rural facilities. So that's why the ranking is a little bit probably lower than what we would at least compared to our other service lines. That is a very difficult service line. Outpatient oncology is another Guardian of Excellence recipient this year. They have always similarly been a very high performer. I know they've got this ongoing financial assistance program where they're helping patients navigate the cost of care. Outpatient rehab, that's our PT, OT, and ST. They have also been part of a all facilities comparison group, so similarly their ranking is a lot more competitive service line. But similarly, they're kind of they're trending in the right direction. They've had a lot of challenges. You know, they have a lot of space issues. They have therapists that need to call out, unfortunately. So I think one of their challenges has been with staffing and how to properly address seamless care and transition for patients. And then we've got home health and hospice. We don't get a lot of respondents for either of these service lines, so the data kind of looks a little all over the place. But, you know, we're looking at basically a respondent pool of maybe 20. So all it takes is maybe one person to give a poor rating, and it might change the data completely. But you can see that these respondents all gave very high scores, so maintaining that 99th percentile for recommend the agency. And then same thing for rate this agency. And then for hospice, I think we had 3 respondents. But nonetheless, they all gave very positive ratings, so ended up once again in the 99th percentile for both recommend and rate. So kind of a silly looking graph, but that's how it is. That's how the data shakes out. So then we want to compare ourselves to other mountain community hospitals nationwide. This is kind of our rural peer group, and the data is about a year behind. So what we have most complete is is calendar year 2023. So we're the green bar, and then you can see all of our peers: Vail Health System, Aspen, Park City. They're all a little below us. That's all that matters. And then regional, Nevada and California. We got Barton, renowned. You can read them all. Similarly, you can see us in the green bar, and they're in the blue. So we're just wanting to maintain that really high service excellence. We know we're not perfect. We always have process improvements in place. We always want to strive to really be the best. So that's why we publish this data, look at it, and make sure that we're doing our best to do as best as we can. And I think that's it.
Any comments or questions?
Are people asking us? Other hospitals asking us how well we're doing? Are
We
they
get-
coming to you?
So Press Ganey reaches out, they do networking calls, and so we get calls from people all the time asking to network with our different various service lines. They know that we're a high performer, and they want to hear what we're doing. So they know.
And how much do you tell them?
I said, give us a call, we'll let you know.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, very proud.
I think
I know we've often referred to that 99th percentile as rarefied air,
Yep,
and it truly is.
yep,
want to be there consistently,
Yeah.
you know.
yep,
is,
exactly.
I think it's data reflecting what most everyone seems to feel every day. So it's fun to see it in charts.
It is. Yeah, and like you said, it's that consistency in maintaining, I think, is the hardest part, and the fact that we're being able to do that quarter over quarter, even with challenges, is a good testament to the health system and the staff.
It's a great testament, especially I was looking at the outpatient, how much it's grown. And you would expect something to grow so big just to go the opposite, right? To go the opposite because you're growing so fast and so big, yet they're following each other, which is really impressive. So thank you.
Yep, thank you.
No? From the audience, any comments, questions? Hearing none. Okay, this is an item for board action, so we'll be looking for a motion to approve the service excellence report.
I will move to approve the fiscal year 2025 service excellent.
I'll second that.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, approved unanimously. Alex, thank you. Item 16.2, Resolution 2025-07. Crystal, welcome. We look forward to this every year, yes?
It's true, it's an annual event since, 2008? So before you is once again to establish the rate per 100,000 of property tax value, to collect enough property tax dollars to meet our debt service requirement for our general obligation bonds. The GO bond was passed unanimously by our community, Measure C, back in 2007. And so since that time, we must report to the counties the amount we would like to have on the property tax statements to be collected from the property tax
or the property owners. So we did have, once again, some dollars in reserve after making the debt service payments. The last one was due, or is due, August 1st. Matter of fact, we just did the transaction today to make that debt service payment. And that leaves just shy of about $980,000 available in the reserve to apply going forward to future debt service payments. These property tax dollars can only be used to pay this general obligation bond. It cannot be used for any other purpose. So, with that being said, the counties send to us the estimated assessed values of the properties, and from there, it really becomes math. Whatever's due for our next debt service payment, we take the assessed values, we do a mathematical calculation, and depending on, really the only variable here is how much of the reserve do you want to apply? And that's at the discretion of the board. We can apply none, we can apply all, or somewhere in between, and I always give you those options. I learned last year, Mary likes 75%. So I didn't bring 85 again, I brought 75. So based upon that experience, before you is the recommendation to use 75% of that $980,000 approximate number of the reserve, and apply that to come to a calculation of $15.21 per 100,000 of assessed values to collect enough of property tax dollars to make our next debt service payment required on our general obligation bonds. So before you is a resolution reflecting that. Don't feel like you have to be hung up on that because I can redraft this very quickly. But the resolution is based upon using 75% of the reserve. So the rest is up for the board to discuss, or if you have any questions or comments, I'm happy to answer them.
I have one question. On the graph of the analysis of assessed value in the table, what is estimate? Can you educate me on estimated 8% minimum growth rate applied?
Yes.
Thank you.
So back when we were evaluating, does the community have the appetite to fund $98.5 million for our organization? We had to turn that into something meaningful and tangible for them to understand what that meant to them financially. And when we looked back historically, on average, property taxes had increased 8% every year, on average. So some higher, some lower, but on average, it was about 8%. So based upon that 8%, we projected out the next 30 years of funding $98.5 million to be able to tell the public what we thought the maximum amount per 100,000 would be that they would see on their property tax bill. And that was I think it was $18 and 76, 67, I might be transposing those numbers. Yeah. We estimated that would be the maximum amount a person would see on their property tax statement at that time. What we found, though, is shortly after we did this, the housing market crashed. And so that 8% kind of evaporated, and we've recovered since then. But that graph is a reminder of the basis for which we had made a statement to the community of what the estimate would have been, and it was an estimate of what the maximum rate per 100,000 would be.
As Crystal will tell you, Anna and Rob, I fought for years to not spend as much of the reserve money because of what happened during that one-time period. But there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, and we seem to be in good shape.
And I still recommend some reserve. Yeah. I do not recommend using 100% of that reserve.
No.
Unless it's the very last payment.
Yeah, the very last payment, yes, right, yeah. So.
I see. I'm waiting for the question.
You got me on the 100%. Can you walk me through that? Because I'm thinking, again, if I'm thinking of a town member, I'm like, oh, this is our taxpayer money.
It is.
It's you're holding it. I would love you to have a lower tax bill this year. And I see, and I want to make sure I understand, the 18% is as high, let's say something catastrophic happens next year, another dip, is 18%, $18.76, the maximum that next year would be if something catastrophic were to
So
occur?
that is not set in stone.
Oh, it
So
is not.
This is what we estimated at the time the bond went to the public for voting.
Okay.
The board has made decisions in the past when that rate has gone higher to supplement through operations to help lower what the rate was down to something closer to the $18.76.
Through other money, not just,
Through our operating revenues.
for operating revenues to supplement it, not just the taxpayer money that is in this fund that is dedicated?
We used our own operating revenues to help supplement what we got from property tax revenues in a couple of the years where the rate was a bit higher than the $18.76. Now, we've been watching the trends, which is why I also show you year after year what the assessed values have gone up by. They're in the 4 to 6% range over the last several years. Building continues to be strong. Can I predict a market decline? No, I can't. I know my first name is Crystal, but I do not have the crystal. Nope, I've given that up. So I do recommend just a little bit of that reserve. In the calculation, there is risk that the unsecured property, that the tax dollars collected on that do not come in. We are protected under the teeter plan for the secured property, but not the unsecured. So we do create a little bit of variable in case those property tax dollars do not come into the counties. And that is part of what is creating our reserve, is because I'm estimating the uncollection of that and the collection is actually coming in. So I am very comfortable with 75%. I actually drafted this at 85 and then I backed off on it. But on that very last payment, no matter what, every dollar we get under this restricted property tax dollar collected has to go to the debt service requirement. So
One other thing you should know, too, is that when we originally passed the $98 million bond measure, we got the money in 3 tranches. And over the years, we have refinanced that and lowered the amount of money that we're being charged.
And we did
interest.
not extend
And it did
the
not
timeframe
ex-
of the bond,
Yeah.
so.
So no benefit to the hospital, but benefit to the taxpayers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess I question my other board members. I mean, is 75% the right number?
I always feel obligated to put this into real dollars, 100%, 25%. It translates to a $2 difference on the tax bill.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Right, per 100, so you say 800 is, so you're talking about a $16 difference on a tax bill. So always sensitive to tax dollars.
It's tiny.
But I think
I think in Boston, they took down some ships for that, didn't they, a long time ago, so.
Well, but they have representation.
I appreciate you saying that.
They have
represent, exactly.
I would lean towards, again, in support of, Crystal's arguments, maintaining some reserve is prudent, especially in the unstable markets that we have. The net to our constituents is a couple of dollars.
Yeah.
For us to have that safety blanket.
Assuming Placer County gets it right.
Oh, well.
Well, there's that.
Well, we've solved that problem.
Yeah.
So we will be submitting a form where I tell them exactly what goes on the property tax statement, so there's no more confusion.
Right, yeah.
I agree, it's a few dollars.
You need to explain that at one point in time, the tax bills went out.
They had the decimal
Wrong.
off.
They did?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it created a little bit of a mess of having to restate the property tax bills and remail them out. And so that was 2 or 3 years ago. And
We had a
between-
meeting, I brought in my last year's tax bill that showed roughly $200 on my tax bill. And then this year's, it said $2. I remember dropping those, Brenda Crystal, I think we have a problem here.
Yeah, a couple of decimal points for
That was
this,
pretty
but
funny.
we got a good process to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Right, yeah.
So if the resident looks at their bill, theoretically, it'll be less than it was last year, because it's like, what, 40 cents less?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a couple pennies, really, but
Yeah.
again, I think if
I
we
still
can keep
push
it that
back on
way.
I still push back on a couple pennies. You know, I still, again, being, when running for office, that, you know, that's what I heard. It's, the hospital's expensive, it costs money. I mean, I agree, I mean, again, I appreciate all these discussions. I just, again, I think of the public and I think of what I heard, and I just think to myself, I want to be fit, that is our job. Our job is, we were elected to be fiscally responsible to serve our community. And this is being very fiscally responsible, very, very fiscally responsive. But I think it just warrants, I think it's just important to just keep bringing this up to make sure that we want to make sure that this hospital is always here. We want to make sure we support our community. I love what you said, that in lean years, it came out of operating budget.
We did.
You know, it is a concerted effort as a hospital to continue to help this community. So, you know, yeah, I'm more of a risk person, so 85% sounds very good to me. So I'm just going to call it out to my other board members. 85% sounds, but again, I know we're going to take a vote, so I just wanted to say my piece, and I'm done saying my piece. Thank you.
I do want to note, I do get phone calls that ask if there are any type of exemptions, senior exemptions from our particular line on the property tax statement, and there are not. So this applies to everyone, where sometimes the school districts will exclude seniors from having to fund that line on the property tax statement, but that is not the case for us. And that's probably more for the public education.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Well, I'll put in a motion that
Hold
we
on.
agree.
Hold on. I'd like to turn it to our audience.
Oh, our audience, yeah, all right, yeah.
Any comments, questions? It's your tax dollars.
Yeah,
Okay. Dale, if you're so
75%.
inclined, would you like to make a motion?
So that's a
please?
motion as presented to adopt the resolution?
Correct.
All right. We have a motion,
I'll second the motion.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, approved as presented at,
Do we have to do a roll
Unanimously.
call vote on?
You don't have to.
Oh.
It's at the discretion of the chair.
Okay.
But I heard 5-0.
was unanimous, correct?
And then if I could just get signatures on the resolution soon, because I have a deadline to get this calculation to the
Can we
counties.
do it tonight,
so.
I think? Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Item 16.3, Placer County LAFCO, Alternative Special District Representative Selection. We had public comment from Scott Wilson earlier this evening. I believe he's on the list. Anna, we don't have Ted? You taking this tonight?
We don't have Ted, but and I can cover this. This is, as you know, this came to the board a few weeks back, or a couple of board meetings ago, and this is to fill an alternate position on LAFCO, which is the Local Agency Formation Committee. They oversee land use, government agency growth, and essentially, we are recommending, actually, that and the rules of how to do the voting are in your packet. They're on page 118. And essentially what this is that you have an officer from the district, and that would be our chair, and you have 5 options to vote for. And we are recommending, actually, Scott Wilson, and you met him tonight. So that we are making that recommendation. It's up to the board. This is really something only that elected bodies are able to make these nominations and votes. So I turn it back over to the chair, unless you have other questions about the process. And it would be just filling out the ballot and then having our officer, which would be our Chair McGarry.
Okay.
Sign it, yeah.
I would support
Any
that.
question?
Yeah.
When you-
No, I think it's
Clear?
somebody from the eastern side, and that's really important. Otherwise, it's all from the bigger city, and
Yep, yeah. And he was born here. I mean. I'm with like, how many people can say that? Yeah, well, 68 years ago, let me clarify, yeah. Fantastic. If, would we take public comment if we're the only ones? Okay. Any public comment on? Okay. Then would we be looking for a motion to support Scott? Is that how we would, okay?
Yeah, that would work.
All right, so we'd be looking for a motion then.
I move that we, as a board, nominate Scott Wilson to be the alternative representative to LAFCO.
I second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on, no items were pulled from the consent calendar. Board committee reports. We had at least a finance committee. Any others? Okay, finance committee.
Yeah, all righty. Yes, the Finance Committee met on Tuesday, and as is our custom, we started with a presentation from Elaine Sampson, who's with Chandler Investments. Chandler, as most of you know, manages our investment portfolio. So she always gives us a lot of economic indicators, which are fascinating. But a lot of these came with, certainly mixed messages. To my simple mind, it came down to consumer confidence is down, jobs are up, and so is inflation. So, but as it pertains to the hospital district, our portfolio is doing well. We continue to exceed benchmarks while investing in very high-quality products. So that kind of gives us the oversight that we're to provide. Elaine is hopefully going to be available in August to come and either speak to everybody in person or by Zoom, and give sort of a wrap of what's going on. So we had some other things to discuss. Crystal and her team are always looking for ways to expedite the billing and payment process, and we heard about two recent changes. Both represent a new system of billing and should result in a smoother operation. These changes always come with slight fluctuations in the accounts receivable, but it was interesting to note that even with these changes and fluctuations, our accounts receivable at the end of this quarter were better than they had been the previous quarter. So even with those little blips, we're doing very well. And we expect more improvement ahead. So that's something to also look forward to. The business department was one of several departments that came together and participated in a workshop to improve access by expediting the process of onboarding our physicians and other providers. And I want to show you a picture that we had in our Finance Committee packet. It should be noted that this picture can also be found on our website, so it's available to the public if they want to look at it. But and Crystal, you may have to help me out with this, but this is a very graphic presentation of what it takes to onboard a physician or another provider. It no longer looks anything like Dr. Marcia or Dr. Marcus Welby being hired and putting out a shingle and starting to see patients right away. So each one of these blocks represents a task that has to be completed. And I don't know if you can see the spaghetti bowl that's up above.
Oh, yeah.
But those are handoffs that go back and forth to different departments and the like. Something that I didn't appreciate until we had the discussion at the committee meeting is not only the time it takes to complete each one of these tasks, but again, I didn't appreciate that the blank spaces between those squares also represents time. And time represents access. So the goal is to streamline this process, finding the pinch points, which Crystal can identify in all of that. I can't. But, and looking at the suggestions that are taped to the board. So that's what everyone is dealing with. They've come together. I guess it was a very fruitful workshop, and they've identified the pinch points and are moving forward. So that's something that we can track into the future, and hopefully we won't have quite so many squares on there and what have you. So that was good. That was it for the general discussion, but we had another very strong financial month, as you saw in the board packet. This marks the end of our fiscal year, and so we are now going back over the financial statements and making any corrections, adjustments, and the like before they go to the auditors, hopefully next month. So, but if there's any questions that you have about the financial statements, Crystal's here.
Crystal's here.
So, but yeah, or anything else that we talked about at the
Did you
meeting.
mention tariffs? Because that was part of the conversation.
Well, we talked about the tariffs and the anticipated costs of supplies and the like but we don't know yet.
Right, but it seems like they're kicking in a little bit
Right.
later than maybe originally anticipated, but we are starting to see, Crystal, I think you just said some of the contracts we're looking at now, they're sort of preemptively putting in buffers in it, so we're starting to see the tariffs take effect. But as Mary
Yes.
said,
There's nothing definite.
who knows? Who knows what
Yeah.
tomorrow? But we are starting to see a little bit of, impact from that.
So I do have a question, if I could, please. The issues that we're faced with, we do quite well with. 50% we've heard over the years of our cancer patient come from outside of our service area. Obviously, we give good service, and people are flocking here for that. If these changes in Medicare and Medi-Cal cause some of our local hospitals, small rural hospitals, to close, are we prepared to pick up the additional work? Do you guys ever talk about that? Is that something that is in the back of your minds?
Is this a question for regarding the Finance Committee?
Yeah, I think we're
That's a report, we're doing a report on
We're a
the.
little out of scope on this.
Yeah,
so.
Finance Committee, yeah. Are we prepared? So that's, I just wondered if it's in your discussions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to look to David. Are we sort of off the agenda here?
That's a very important question. I think this Finance Committee should discuss it.
Okay.
Refer it back to them.
We'll add it to the agenda, Dale. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. I believe that might be our business for the evening.
Chair, may I make just one comment before we adjourn?
I welcome it.
Thank you. I just wanted to recognize and acknowledge our inaugural class of Health Career Connection students, Irene and Zina, who are actually headed back to their schools before our next convening. And so, and I, never fear though, Irene is graduating from Cornell this coming May, and Zina's right behind her, a year behind her. She's at University of Nevada, Reno. So, but I just wanted to acknowledge their presence and how wonderful it's been. I also want to just recognize Louis Ward, who really, we talked about this idea, and he had it sort of launched and off and running, along with a lot of our staff, including Dylan, to make sure they had a place to stay and food, and really all of the leaders and frontline staff who have hosted them and shadowed them, but mostly them, because they spent their summer with us, and I think we always get more out of it than they do. It really makes a difference for us. So thank you for spending your summer with us, and I know they have a couple more weeks with us, but they won't see the board, so I just wanted to make sure we acknowledge that.
Well, congratulations to you guys, and it's been a pleasure having you. Remember us.
Maybe we'll see you after May? Yeah. Yeah, we won't put you on the spot with
Yeah.
comments, but hoping it was an incredibly rewarding experience for each of you as well. It's been a pleasure having you here. Fantastic. Well, with that, we'll adjourn.
Super.